Hey guys, it's Sandro here and welcome to part 3 and the final chapter of the detail on this magnificent BMW X5, where I'm going to be protecting all the hard work that went into the previous decontamination and paint correction work and then showing you guys the final finished results. So to start off, I'm using compressed air to blow off any light dust before I move the vehicle into the coating bay. Now being that I used NV Morph, which is an all-in-one primer polish to correct the paint, I really don't need to or want to apply an IPA panel wipe before the coating, as Morph itself creates that strong bonding surface preparation for the coating. What you should also find is that primer polishes leave behind quite a slick, low friction finish, meaning that dust tends to blow off quite easily, and you can also safely wipe the vehicle down with some clean microfiber cloths in a safe, swirl-free process with that added slickness on the paint. Now I'm fortunate to be in quite a clean environment and I additionally work very clean, but if need be you can and should wash the vehicle if it needs it after paint correction and also do an IPA wipe down. Just make sure to give the resins in your primer polish a good 3 to 4 hours to cure and harden beforehand and you'll be fine. So once again guys, just adjust your working methods and techniques accordingly to your situation, as we all work a little differently and we're all in different environments pursuing different end goals. Now as I mentioned in part 1, I'm not ceramic coating the wheels because the owners are intending on getting them repaired and refinished. So instead, I'm going to apply a sealant in the form of NovaJet to add some temporary protection. But apart from NovaJet being a super hydrophobic spray coating that should help with maintaining the wheels, it just has a beautiful darkening and saturation effect with great gloss levels. So it's also going to help amplify the overall look of the finish in the end. I then applied the layer of NV Onyx to the tyre walls to finish the wheels off, in which I hope you'll see just how that little extra time to seal and dress the wheels makes such a big difference to the overall look of the vehicle in the end. Now just before we get to coating the paint, I'm going to firstly coat the glass using NV Novaglass coating. I've gone through Novaglass's application many times and even have a separate video on it. But basically I'm going to apply 3 consecutive layers on the front windscreen, but I'll just be applying a single layer on the side and rear glass, as a layer there should last as long as multiple layers on the front windscreen. And as I mentioned in part 2, I'll just be using my paint coating to coat the top sunroof glass, as there's no wipers or rubbers that will interfere with the sunroof glass. As far as performance goes with Novaglass, it's extremely hydrophobic, so it will help rainwater run off the glass at cruising speeds without the need for wipers in many cases. As far as durability goes, I've personally seen it last from 1 to 2 years on average with great performance. More recently, NV also released Novaglass Lite, which was specifically designed as a maintenance product for Novaglass that's used to both clean and top it up, which tends to work quite well at extending its life and maintaining its performance. One point I wanted to address here that I get a few questions about is on the method of applying glass or trim coatings alongside paint coatings. So I generally like to apply my paint coating last after wheel or glass coatings, as the paint tends to be the most sensitive surface that I don't like having to lean over, touch or wipe other coatings beside it after I've applied it. But quite honestly guys, I really think you can do it either way, it's just my personal preference. The other question I get is about glass or trim coatings making contact with the paint while wiping them down before applying the paint coating, and if that's going to compromise the paint's coating. I can't say I've got any evidence of this being the case, and maybe it's because it's just very minimal over-wipe coating residue, and also maybe because they are still all SiO2 based coatings that may still layer relatively well with each other, but I'm not entirely sure. The thing you have to choose here is pretty much what is the lesser evil in this case. So I could use tape to mask around the paint while applying the glass coating to stop any cross-contamination of the coatings themselves. But then you have to ask if the tape adhesive residue will cause an even bigger issue with the coating's bonding ability. And even if you use an IPA or panel wipe to remove the tape's residue, you're still going to have some overwipe there with your IPA product that may then compromise the freshly applied glass coating, which also isn't ideal. All I'm trying to point out here is that there is no perfect solution, just a decision you have to make in choosing what you believe is the less potentially problematic method and technique. And for me so far, this has worked quite well for about the last decade or so. So finally, onto ceramic coating the paint with NV Nova Pro at the customer's request. Now just like Nova Glass, I've gone through Pro's application so many times in the past, so I'll just very quickly touch on it here. You'll also notice here that I've got my infrared light on in the corner of the room. I was actually running a little behind on this job, so I got up extra early that winter's morning and it was absolutely freezing in the shop. The BMW's paint temperature was reading at about 3 to 4 degrees Celsius, which is a little colder than I like to apply any coating. So the first thing I did was fire up my IR lights and my little heater to start warming up the room, and put my bottle of NV Pro in my pocket to also warm it up a little while I go set up and make myself a coffee. Less than an hour later, the paint was reading at almost 10 degrees Celsius and my bottle of Nova Pro was also lukewarm and I was ready to start coating. Now it's not like I can't apply this coating in lower temperatures, as I definitely can, but for me 20 degrees Celsius is my perfect temperature for applying almost any coating, and ranging from about 10 to 30 degrees is also generally fine. It's just when you start to apply in extremely cold or extremely hot temperatures that it gets a little more difficult and harder to apply most coatings. So if I can avoid that, I certainly will. So in this particular case, Nova Pro was flashing about 5 to 6 minutes later, so this allowed me to apply it in slightly larger sections and multiple sections at a time before leveling it down. Whereas in most cases, I will tend to work slightly smaller sections and even just a section at a time in warmer weather conditions. Now, one thing I do remember about this job, and paint in particular, is that it wasn't until this final coating stage that the white pearl paint really started to pop and show a little more glow and warmth in its finish. Now, don't get me wrong, as the decontamination and paint correction really had a huge impact in giving it that nice crisp feel and finish foundation. But it wasn't until this final layer of the coating was added that it really started to show some depth and warmth to the paint that really elevated it more so than other vehicles and paints in this final protection stage. Black paint can unquestionably be a detailer's worst nightmare when it's on the softer side, as there's just no hiding defects and very little forgiveness if you don't get it right. In many ways, white paint is the opposite, as it doesn't tend to be as soft for the most part, and if you are a little off in your process and combinations, there's still a lot more forgiveness in it showing obvious signs of less quality or skill levels in your approach. But here's the thing, while black paint certainly has its challenges, making black paint pop and look rich and wet is far, far easier than making white paint have that rich, reflective, wet, silky look. So in many ways, white paint is one of the greatest challenges because although it's great at hiding defects, it's also extremely difficult to make it pop. So it's a great test for any detailer that can achieve that with these paint types. The same thing can be said for this coating stage with black versus white paint. When you don't level a coating properly or leave high spots in the finish, they're quite obvious to spot on black paint. So it's easier to see them and as such address them. But if you don't, your customer will certainly notice them. But on white paint, you really have to slow down and almost squint your eyes to see them. So it's much harder for you to spot them and also less likely your customer will see them at the same time. So it's just a very different experience and why you have to approach and work with these paints, each having their own pros and cons. I'd like to end this video on a final mental health point. I remember a while back a comment on a video where someone asked me if at the end of my videos I could show all the defects I missed or wasn't able to remove or get to a great standard. So in other words, spend some time searching for and focusing on capturing footage in areas where I could have done better, I guess to show that nothing is perfect. And I understand where that person is coming from, as it's important information. No detail is ever perfect. Now, I would hope that for you guys who know this channel well and my style of making these videos, that I really don't hold back on sharing information. In fact, I don't think it's a stretch to say that there's no other detailing channel out there that shares more information than me in such a comprehensive manner. I really don't have secrets in sharing everything I know about detailing, as my goal here is to help other detailers or detailing enthusiasts out. So I do put massive amounts of effort into capturing clear, honest and useful information, together with informative and hopefully helpful commentary that's sometimes maybe a bit too much information for some viewers. But getting back to the comment, I want you guys to understand that I usually spend dozens and dozens of hours on each vehicle I detail, getting it to at least a 90 to 95% improvement compared to how it came in. There's a lot of hard, backbreaking work, increased stress levels when things don't go according to plan, and add to that trying to film the process every now and then in order to produce some hopefully good video footage, and it's quite a journey filled with highs and lows every single time. What I really love about what I do at the end of it all is taking a step back, maybe sitting down with a coffee and just quietly enjoying the finished result for myself. That's my favorite part of detailing, enjoying the fruits of my labor. So to turn around and take that away or sour that experience by focusing on the last 5 to 10% of minor defects or flaws that could have been done better, it's just not a great way to end a detail. I'm not saying you shouldn't take note of what you could have done better, maybe something you missed, and learn from that, because you absolutely should along the way. All I'm saying is that I'm human, guys, and to end a detail by focusing in on the minor flaws rather than focusing in on the vast improvement is not a mentally healthy thing for me or any other detailer out there to do. So enjoy the fruits of your labor, be happy with what you've achieved, and try to end each and every detail on a high note, as that's the way to nourish your mental health and well-being in this tough industry. If you enjoyed this video and would like to say thanks and help support future content, you can do so by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ccad, which I'll have a link to in the description box, and thank you everyone for the support so far. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video useful. Please give it a like, comment below, share it with others, and subscribe to this channel to show your support for this content, and I'll see you guys soon.
Explosions like a heartbeat, yeah, my mind's keen, rushes of emotion, now let's do it again. There's sweetness and adventure, without a venture, TV's got your mind stuck on good reality. We are soul is warm, life's much more if we live it up. Life is all on schedule, but dead's forever. I send my condolences to the side of the drive.
Thank you. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Look here. Brand new from factory. Yeah. Nice. Great work, man.
Yeah, I hope you're happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks very much. Great, great.
I've been working like a dog, day and night, trying to finish up this job and do it right. There's only a few things that a man like me needs, and Jesus whiskey, and you're right next to me, singing, hey honey, I'm coming home. I don't know why I'm gone so long. Hey honey, I'm coming home to you. Said, hey honey, promise please that you're gonna leave the light on for me. Hey honey, I'm coming home soon. You know what we're gonna do. Heaven knows that you put your time into it. Hell of a woman, sweet red wine, and how you choose. Well, let's get one thing straight, it ain't about what you do for me. Well, I'm gonna love you, and I love you loving me. Singing, hey honey, coming home. I don't know why I've been gone so long. Hey honey, I'm coming home to you. Said, hey honey, promise please that you're gonna leave the light on for me. Hey honey, I'm coming home soon. You know what we're gonna do, yeah. Coming home, I don't know why I've been gone so long. Hey honey, coming home, don't know why I've been gone so long. Said, hey honey, coming home, I don't know why I've been gone so long. Said, hey honey, coming home to you.